Hello, so I'm going to start today with a summary of what we learned on the previous lesson, and that was about gradients and steepness. In other words, how much y changes as x increases by 1. So as x increases by 1, does y go up or does y go down, and by how many? So if we look at our first way of calculating the gradient, for every 1 we go across, we're going to go 3 down. So I've got a gradient of -3. Now this only works if the scales on the x and the y are the same. So for example, if this was 0, 1, 2 units, but of course this might be 5, 10, 15 units, in which case for every 1 unit I'm going across, I'm going down 15, and so the gradient in this case would be -15. If we've got an equation of a line, as in part 2, then we must make y the subject, and that means to get y on its own. Okay, in this case, the number in front of the x here is -2.5. There's actually nothing wrong with you writing -5/2 there, but that's up to you. And then the slightly more complicated way, we've got changing y, so 13 take 4 over changing x's, okay? And then we get 9/3, so that's 3 this time around, okay? So we should know all of those three things by this point. So what we're going to do now is we're going to try and find the equations of some lines, okay, given gradients and points, okay? So here's the equation of a straight line. You should know by now the equation of a straight line is something that can be written like that. For example, y equals 2x minus 7, y equals -12x plus 3, 3y equals x plus 7. They're all equations of straight lines. Okay? So, lots of lines. Okay, let's have a look. So, determine the full equation of each line. Now let's have a look at line A. As we look at line A, you can see that for every 1 we go across, we go up 1, okay? We can also see that the y-intercept is -1. So what that means is we've got y equals 1x because the gradient is 1, and then take away 1 because the y-intercept down here is at 0, -1, okay? We don't tend to write 1x. What we'll write instead is just x take away 1, okay? Okay, line B, okay? Let's start here at this vertex. For every 1 we go across, we're going up 2, so the gradient is 2. So I'll start with y equals 2x. The y-intercept is -1 again, so -1. Dead easy, okay? C, I'll start here. For every 1 we go across, we're going down half, so the gradient is -1/2, so I'll write that in, -1/2 x, and then the y-intercept, there we go, is 2, so that's +2 in that case. Okay, that's it, dead easy. So we can have a go at these in the lesson, or you can have a look at them now if you want to pause the video. Now, second thing that we're going to do, so that's fairly easy. We obtain the gradient, we obtain the y-intercept, okay? But what if we've got a question like this? A line with gradient 3 goes through the point 2,5. Determine the equation of a line in that form. So what we're going to do here is, obviously if the gradient is 3, then we can start with y equals 3x plus something, okay? Now because this point lies on the line, this point must work, if you like, in this equation. And what that means is, when you substitute y equals 5, it must equal 3 times the x value plus your y-intercept. So 5 must equal 6 plus something, and hopefully you're thinking that something's minus 1. So therefore, the equation of my straight line is 3x minus 1. Okay, you might want to pause this and watch that little bit again. Okay. So let's have a look at this one. Similar example. A line has that gradient. No. Passes through 4, 9 and has gradient 2. What's the equation of a line in that form? So gradient is 2, y equals 2x plus something. Okay, the point 4, 9, so 9 equals 2 times 4 plus something. 9 equals 8 plus something, so that something must be 1 in this case. So we've got y equals 2x plus 1. Okay, that's it. Now, let's have a look at what we've got down here. Okay, so we're going to start, first of all, these quick fire questions. Let's start putting the gradients in. So y equals 2x, 4x, x, minus 3x, minus a half x. Now then, if you put 7 in here, we get 14. But we don't want 14, we want 11. So we just take 3 off. If you put 7 into here, 4 7s are 28, but we don't want 28, we want 30. So we add on 2. If you put 7 in here, we don't want 7, we want 11. So we're going to have to add on 4. Does that make sense? I'll do the next one more formally, so you can see what we're doing. Okay. So the next one, y equals 3x, it's minus 3, my mistake. Minus 3x plus something. When x is 2, y is 5. So 5 equals minus 3 times 2, so that's minus 6. There we go, plus something. So how do you get from minus 6 to 5? You add on 11. So y equals minus 3x plus 11. Okay, you're just trying to make the equation balanced. That's it. Okay. Now, a little bit harder on this one. Okay, a line passes through that point and that point. What is the equation of a line in that form? Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to calculate the gradient. So m equals change in y divided by change in x. Okay, so that's 2 over 4, so that's a half. There we go. Okay, so now we can start with y equals a half x plus something. Okay, now we know it goes through the point 3, 5. So 5 equals a half times 3 plus something. Okay, a half of 3 is 1.5. How do I get from 1.5 to 5? I add on 3.5. So I've got y equals half x plus 3.5. Now, I've not finished yet because it says put it in this form. So what I've got to do is I've got to get this bit, the half x, to the other side, and I've got to get the 3.5 to the other side. But also you can see that a, b and c are integers. Now at the moment, here's a half, and that's 3.5, so they're not integers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by doubling everything. So 2y equals double a half, you get 1, double 3.5, you get 7. Now doesn't that look a lot neater to begin with? Okay, now all I'm going to do is I'm going to take the x to this side, I've still got the y's, and then I'm going to take the 7s, and I've got 0 left on that side. Okay? And that is largely, I think, it from me. We'll just have a look at a couple of ones. Actually, I don't want to use that. I'll just do one more of these questions. So I'm going to calculate the gradient first of all. So change in y divided by change, oops, it's a 7. So 2 take 5 over 13 take 7, that's right. So I've got minus 3 over 6, which is minus a half this time. So I've got y equals minus a half x plus something. I'm going to substitute in what I know, so I'm going to pop that 7 and 5 in. So 5 equals minus a half times 7 plus something. Okay. So minus a half times 7 is minus 3.5. So how do I get from minus 3.5 to 5? Well, I need to add on 8.5. So y equals minus a half x plus 8.5. I'm going to use that same trick that I used earlier to make everything nice and neat. I'm going to double everything. So I've got 2y equals minus x plus 17. And then I'm going to bring everything over onto the left-hand side. So I'm going to add x to both sides. I've still got the 2y. I'm going to take 17 from both sides and set it equal to 0. Okay? See you in the lesson.